welcome to a very special edition of the Peristyle Podcast. Sorry, blowing Braylan Shelby away there. We're back with our House of Victory series where we get to talk to different USC football players in depth. Now, this 5 minutes after practice stuff or after a game. Get them sitting down for 25 minutes, half an hour. We're back doing this. We have USC sophomore defensive lineman Braylan Shelby with us. Follow him on Twitter at Braylan Shelby, Braylan. You can also do the same thing on Instagram. I'm joined in studio by Connor Morrissette, Mr. Triple Double himself, and the man of the hour, Braylan Shelby. How you doing, man? Thanks for coming on.
Man, it feels great to be here. How y'all doing?
We're good. Sometimes I'm getting older, Braylan, and my Hello Trojan fans kind of cracks out a little bit. Been doing it since like 2008, but that one worked. I didn't drink any.
That was amazing.
It was good. Like, if I have a sip of soda before, it usually goes bad. So I opened it, but I didn't take any. So now I'll be okay. But sometimes it gets. But we really appreciate you coming on. And I think we talked to Nate Clifton a couple weeks ago. You guys had fall camp and everything's been going on. Now getting ready for the season, 2 weeks away, which is crazy. A little less than 2 weeks away. But definitely want to thank House of Victory. I'll put up the QR code if you want to donate and help guys like Braylan and the people on the team. Your donations go directly to these players, so it helps them out a lot. And I know you've been doing a lot of work with them, and from the people at House of Victory telling me you were like one of the most enthusiastic players. LA Food Bank going back a bunch of times. What's that experience been like for you down there?
It's been amazing. It's been absolutely a great opportunity to be able to get back to the community, do things for the community because they do so much for us. So just being able to give a helping hand with my teammates and bond over giving back to the community it's been the world to us.
And I also got word that so the Rex Steakhouse, and Connor is a big food guy. We love I know you guys can't do it, the House of Victory tailgates. So I want to let everyone know, go to housevictory.com. You can check out the tailgates. They are amazeballs. Like, we've been going the last couple of years. Is that still a word, amazeballs? I'm old, I guess. But they're a lot of fun, and they are catered by the Rex Steakhouse. Connor is constantly eating, and when he goes there, we have to get into we're not working like you, but we're working the press box, so we got to be there a couple hours early. But we show up right at the beginning of the tailgate, get fed. It's really cool. See a bunch of people there. Former USC athletes and stuff will be around. But the Rex is the one that, and it's right here in Redondo Beach, that they cater it. And I heard that Jonah Monheim was like cooking at the Rex yesterday, and you were among the 10 or so Trojans that were there. What was going on there? Let us know what that was all about.
Yeah, so me and Jonah got the opportunity to both cook. And,
okay.
It was kind of amazing. We went back there. We started immediately chefing it up. We cooked tomahawks. We cooked Wagyu. We cooked like this lamb pasta. It goes on and on. The Rex, they got it all. Delicious.
Tomahawks?
Delicious tomahawks, like everything.
So I've done a tomahawk once, and you have to, I was taught to do a reverse sear. So you kind of cook it like a regular, like in an oven kind of thing, low to get the temperature in the middle up a little bit, and then you sear it afterwards instead of searing it first. Is that what you guys did, or how did you prepare the tomahawk?
No. So they actually have like this, I guess the stove's like $25,000, but it's you cook it using wood.
Okay.
And they have like this pulley system to drop the meat further, like on the fire or above it. It was kind of insane how we did it, but we got to saute them and just put them right on the grill.
Oh, that's you're making Connor's mouth mine too, but Connor loves his food.
That's amazing, Braylan. So it sounds like once football's done, maybe would you ever want to open a restaurant or something like that? Do you have a passion for cooking?
Oh, I would say I definitely do. I haven't been cooking a lot since I've been here, since SC does a great job at providing a ton of food for us. But I would say that's definitely one thing I want to do in my career is to open up. It could be any type of restaurant, really. Soul food. That one would probably be the best.
Did Taj Washington give you any tips last year?
Yeah.
I did talk to Taj just a little bit about his cooking, but we didn't get too deep into it.
Oh, that's great. I've been watching The Bear season 3, which I love. I dated a chef for a little while, so then you kind of learn a lot of terms. So now I get hooked on The Bear. It's good stuff. But that's awesome. I'm glad you got to experience that. That's for some of the USC fans that aren't used to this whole world where players are getting compensated in NIL, there's what I love about the House of Victory stuff is the stories like that where you are going out and helping kids or you're doing fun events at a place like the Rex, and it just seems like it's great that you guys are getting compensated, but it also seems like it's helping you enjoy the whole college experience as well.
I would say definitely it is. It definitely allowed us to, and it gave us more opportunities to hang out outside of like just football. Really being able to bond and really get together and really know each other has been like an amazing blessing the House of Victory has given us.
That's awesome. Braylan, getting to football now, you've been out for a few practices. Good to hear that you're back. Everyone listening, all the USC fans who follow the team closely, they know you weren't practicing, and I'm sure they're very happy to hear that you're back fully healthy. What's the competition been like for you competing for a spot on the edge in D'Anton Lynn's defense? Just take us through. I know you've missed some time, but you're a guy who we hear constantly everyone saying he's going to have a breakout year, What's the competition been like for you this offseason?
I would say it's been great. I mean, the edge room has a ton of talent, and just being able to really learn from each other, compete with each other, and really just get the best out of each other has been like everything for us. This defense has grown as a whole. We play as a complete unit, really compensating off of each other.
I wanted to talk to you about the off season because there was a big push. You were a true freshman last year, played in all 13 games. Transform your body. I think I have a picture here of the transformation from what you did the offseason. Can you talk about the gains and how that offseason workout regiment went, and why it worked so well for you and so many of the other players?
So I would say Wiley and Rachel, to start off, they do an amazing job at what they do. Just being able to put that workload on us and the right nutrition on us has really helped us a lot. But it really started more in I'd say like the winter after the season. That's when we learned of what our goals was going to be for the winter, and that's kind of where we worked off of. So we started slow. They implemented a plan for each and every one of us, and I mean it's been good ever since. And following into that summer, this past summer, you just kept the same mindset, and then I knew myself I wanted to gain just even a little bit more weight, just to be more sturdier, and especially when it comes to the Big Ten.
Certainly looking a lot bigger. Can you run through your weight last year compared to this year? How much mass have you gained?
If I had to say, by the end of the season, I was a little low. I'd say probably around 230. So I'd say in total, I've gained around 35 pounds.
Amazing. That's awesome to hear. New defensive coordinator this year, Braylan. In what ways is D'Anton Lynn's defense better or maybe worse for you than last year's defense? Just take me through the differences in how you're going to be used and if this situation this year is going to be better for you.
I feel like this defense fits everybody perfectly. It's done an amazing job at really taking our true abilities and being able to put them on display. Everyone has that great opportunity, especially with this defense. I mean, it allows playmakers to make plays.
Braylan, for camp this year, what kind of differences did you see from what you went through last year and then what you guys are going through this year? I know you've missed some time there, but with the practices, like how different did things feel from camp for you last year versus this year?
We felt like a whole team. It felt like we were really out there competing, really trying to get after it. I mean, Coach Link did an amazing job at getting us to bond together. We actually spent a few nights in the dorms all together. So it was probably one of the best experiences I've had from camp since being here. Like everybody improved. Everybody did everything they could do to be the best they can be. And I mean, it just feels good.
The cohesion of this team is something that stands out, being around you guys at practice and at the media days and talking to people around the program. In your opinion, Braylan, why is this year's team right now closer than last year's?
I'll say we've done a lot of more team bonding this year, and that's for sure. Just getting to know each and everybody on the team and taking the time out of your day to really understand their background and where they're from. And I mean, that plays a large part in the football because that's the man you're going to war with. And I mean, it just means a lot to us to really get to understand and know each other.
We've talked to a lot of transfers, guys that came in. Like I mentioned, Nate Clifton was the last guy that we had brought on, and I forget the number. It might have been 118, but they were some of the guys. I think DeCarlos Nicholson brought this up too, where they're like, "Yeah, we had to do like 118 reps of something because USC's defense was right." It was some number like that. It was in the hundreds.
116, 116, I think.
Yeah, it was a bad number. It wasn't like, and their guys are like, "What? You were on. I mean, you were a freshman, but you were on the team last year. I mean." When you see that the numbers just weren't where I know wasn't the standard that you guys wanted to be, was that a motivating factor in the offseason to try to be like, look, we can't be ranked this low of a defense overall. We have to, especially going to the Big Ten, we have to do better as a unit.
I would definitely say it was a heavy mindset going into the season. Jamil made it super obvious of what our rank in the defense was and what we needed to do in order to change that. Obviously that's not the standard for us around here. So we took it upon ourselves that at the end of each and every day, every workout, we get 116 extra reps in the weight room or anything to improve on our game.
You mentioned Jamil there. In my head, Braylan, it's Jamil, you, Anthony Lucas, maybe Cam Fountain, who those guys have a real shot to play a lot on the edge. Who else is in that group? Who's impressed during fall camp? Who's another edge guy outside of those four guys who I named who could be in the rotation?
I mean, really, everybody can be in the rotation. I mean, Solo, Sam. I mean, Dev plays that in. Zoe, Pete. Everybody that's in the edge room has definitely the capability to be able to play out there on Saturdays.
The defensive line is, in general, I think a lot of USC fans, if people are watching on YouTube now or listening on the podcast, wherever you're consuming this, people always talk about, hey, the defensive line. And what have you seen from the USC, especially the interior of the line, the development there? You're bringing some new, like the Gavin Myers of the world. Nate Clifton put a lot of weight on. He told us he's like 295 now, going to be playing more inside. How have you seen this line sort of develop where, Bear Alexander is the one everyone knows, but there's some other guys maybe not as well known kind of around him?
Yeah, I mean, the interior guys, they do their thing every day, from Kobe, Elijah Hughes, Gav. I mean, it goes on and on. Dev, for example. I mean, everybody in the interior knows what they're doing. Coach Henny has done an amazing job at improving all of our school skills and getting just the best out of us. So I really feel like the D line as a whole will for sure hold things down.
Let's get to the news of the day, Braylan. So Miller Moss officially named USC's starting quarterback today. I know you're on the defensive side of the ball, but what have you seen from him since the Holiday Bowl to now that gives you confidence he's ready to be QB1, and what has he done to earn that?
I've seen nothing but great leadership from Miller Moss. He's been in a ton of work. He's been in a ton of time with his wide receivers, getting time, and then he does a great job communicating with his O-line and the running back room. And I mean, I've just seen him put in work like he's the one. He's done an amazing job at just being a leader to this team and really getting us all on the same page.
Does it matter? I mean, the announcement was today. Connor and I will talk about it a little bit later on the show. But for guys on the defensive side, does that matter? Like knowing, hey, he's QB1, he's our leader, kind of going into the season. You got a big opener against LSU. Does it matter to you, or is it still kind of like business as usual?
I would say it matters to everybody on the team. It's nice to know, of course, but everybody, no matter who it is, at the end of the day, we're all there. We're going to get the job done. We're all on the same mission and the same goal, no matter what your role is.
Braylan, like I said earlier, a lot of your teammates who I've talked to, they say you're a candidate for a breakout season. Why do you think they're saying that?
I think they just have great trust in me. They believe in me and my skill set and the things that I can do. And I appreciate it from them. It's nice to know that your teammates believe in you and I believe in them and that we can go get this thing done.
For people, USC fans out there that, maybe don't know like what your game is about, like how would you describe, if you were someone's like, hey, what kind of football player are you? How would you kind of describe the kind of player you are off the edge?
I'll say physical and fast is probably the two best words to kind of say what my game is. I kind of just love to be out there. I love to set the edge. I mean, rush after the passer. I mean, it don't get no better than that.
What's your excitement level heading into an LSU game where the Tigers have arguably the two top offensive tackles in college football, Will Campbell, Emory Jones? You guys, the edge rushers, are going to be challenged immediately in this first game. How excited are you for that challenge, and what's the prep been like preparing for those two guys who are going to have futures in the NFL?
I mean, I'll say everybody's excited for this challenge. I mean, it's obviously like means the world to us to go out, be able to go out there and go compete. So everybody, especially in the D line room, I mean, we're excited. We're excited to get after it. Excited to finally show the world our talents and what we are capable of.
With the off-season preparation last year, you're opening with San Jose State. This year, Las Vegas, LSU. Does that change the mindset at all going through practice? Because, I mean, you guys get through camp, you're going to start game prep, but even, that first day of camp, you're probably still thinking LSU, or maybe not as much with San Jose State.
No, it's a process. I mean, we respect every team the same. You got to treat every team the same. Because at one moment, if you downplay another team, that's the team that's probably going to beat you. I mean, you got to treat every single game. It's like a game. It's a must win. It's a must win, and you just gotta kind of keep that mindset when it comes to playing games.
What's the prep been like for LSU right now? About a week and a half out to this game now, or almost closer to 2 weeks than a week and a half. But how are you preparing? Talking to some guys earlier last week, they said watching the spring game a little bit. What have you done to prepare for LSU as much as you can share?
Watching as much film on them as I can, as possible. I mean, watching last year's games, kind of just sets the pastures, kind of the play style that they like, kind of what they do, and kind of what's their identity on offense. Kind of just learning them is what we're doing, and we're rolling into it right now. We're like 13 days out, so we're just excited.
The preseason stuff, there's all kinds of watch lists and preseason polls and everything, and USC is 23rd in the AP and the coaches poll. LSU is a top 10 team. Is that stuff you guys pay attention to? And is it one of those things where, like, and knowing if you go out and beat LSU, you're probably going to like switch positions, but is that something that matters to you guys? And, being an underdog in a game like this, is it something that you can kind of use as motivation?
I wouldn't say numbers, anything like that really matters to us. Every team they're a team, and it's really just about how we're going to go out there and attack, and how we're going to be united as a team and go out there and just put in work like we should.
Braylan, I'm curious, when preparing for LSU, so a new quarterback, a lot of new receivers, how challenging is that when you can watch what they did last year, maybe get some scheme stuff down, but it's totally new personnel? How do you sort of, when you're watching film, take stock of that, and how does that change your preparation when you don't really know a lot about the new guys who are going to be in there?
Sure, that's usually how game one usually goes. It's kind of how it was last year. You take a look at film, but some of the people aren't there. But in the same way, most of these teams still run the same plays, still do some of the same stuff, even though the personnel may change a little bit, which may change a few plays here and there. It's still football at the end of the day. You still got to read your keys. You still got to go out there and do what it do. Just because you don't have film on someone doesn't mean you still can't go out and batter your opponent to the best of your abilities.
We had a question in the YouTube chat. If you're watching live on YouTube, thanks very much for that. And hope you guys are enjoying our conversation with Braylan Shelby. Eddie in Orange, does Braylan miss Texas in August?
Man, if I had to say, I do not miss Texas, especially in August. Right in the hurricane season, humidity, it's like 100 degrees, but the field line is 109. But out here in LA, it's completely chill, 70s, 80s on a regular day. I would say I definitely do not miss that Texas heat.
Are you kind of an LA guy now? Like, are you like, some people move here and they're like, you're here for 4 years and leave, but a lot of people are like, I moved here for college and never left. I'm like, this is great, I'm not leaving. Like, are you kind of one of those guys? I know you've only been here like a year or so.
So I'm gonna see what the future has in store with me when that time comes. But right now, I'm kind of transitioning to an LA person. I'm already acclimated here to the weather, and every time I go back home, it's a struggle. But I don't know. I wonder. However my life takes me, we'll see. But for right now, I say I'm an LA guy.
Yeah, I guess it's different too, because if you're going to play in the NFL, then it matters where you get drafted. You could get drafted by Green Bay or something, and you're going to be there for a while. But it just seems like you feel pretty comfortable. Like, my just sense is like you feel pretty comfortable here, which is good. It's a great place to live.
Yeah, it feels like home. Especially with the team and everybody. It's a great time. Great time to be alive. Seeing everybody each and every day. It's a blessing.
That's interesting you say it feels like home, Braylan, because in the offseason, your primary recruiter, Roy Manning, he is no longer with the program. How challenging was that when the guy who you built that close bond with, recruited you, is no longer at USC? Did you ever consider transferring? Why ultimately did you choose to stick around?
Oh, I chose SC because of the school. I just knew it would be the best degree for me, set me up best for the possibility in my life. It was hard saying bye to Coach Manning, but I knew if that's what God had in store for me, that's what it is. And when Coach Henney and Coach Nua, once they were announced as like my coaches, I mean, you got to set forth the plan, set forth what we needed to do. And I mean, I've learned so much from Coach Henney and Coach Nua together. So, I mean, I'm just super excited to go display the talents.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about those guys. What has it been like? I mean, I know when Coach Henney came in, you're like, oh, you coached Aaron Donald? That's pretty good. And Sean Nua would be the one defensive staff member that was brought over and stayed with the staff. But what has it been like working with those two guys?
I'll say they're the perfect duo. I mean, they know how to really coach as well. Coach us what we need to know, what we need to learn. I mean, just the amount of things you can learn each and every day from Henney and Nua combined is everything. I mean, I feel like they truly enhance my game and can enhance a lot of people's.
Speaking of coaches, has Lincoln Riley been more involved with the defense this offseason than he was a year ago, last fall camp? Braylan, can you speak on that at all, or is it pretty similar?
No, I would say he's been more involved. He's definitely stopped by meeting rooms a lot more. You see him more in practice. Really, I mean, it's just he kind of just doing what he do. I mean, Link, man, he's one smart individual.
One of the things we talked about, some different defensive coaches and stuff about, you have D'Anton Lynn there, who ran things really well at UCLA. Matt Entz was a head coach last year, won a couple of national championships. Definitely, and Matt Entz talked about having some ideas, and he would sit down with Lincoln Riley about doing things, how they want to do things. Do you feel like practices feel different, like there were with the new coaches and new input, and maybe doing a few different things or different drills, or is it more physical? Like, do you feel there's differences from last year's practice to this year's?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. There's new drills, new things that I didn't do last year, and I mean, it's only further enhanced our game. And I mean, like the way that they practice is scheduled is still the same, but I mean, the things that we do within each period is a little bit different.
Braylan, I'm curious about some of the true freshmen, whether it's offense or defense. Have any of those newer guys impressed you, standing out to you in their first fall camps?
Cam is a big one for me, who's really, I'd say, grown as an individual and a football player on and off the field. I mean, you see him maturing, you see him learning plays, you see him doing what he do, and I'm really proud of him and what he's capable of, and especially Brandon Conley too. I've been watching him lock down the wide receiver during practice, so it's just nice to see the young ones eat.
We had a question in the chat. I believe it's Tennessee Trojan 35. Does Shelby believe this team has become more of a defensive team instead of an offensive team with all the new changes in the program and the defensive staff?
I'll say this team is very, very competitive when it comes to practice. So, in my opinion, being a defensive player, of course, I'm gonna go with the defensive team. I mean, it's so fun being able to go out there and compete with the offense each and every day. I mean, there's so many playmakers out there. I mean, it's like it can go either way. This defense is amazing and the offense is amazing.
We don't get to watch the whole thing. We got to watch scrimmage the other day, but when we talked to Lincoln Riley, he said, like, hey, the defense has been, for the most part, getting the best of the offense. Do you feel like that's, something maybe a little different than last year, that they're actually giving this offense, some troubles that maybe you didn't see before?
I mean, like I said, there's a ton of plays that are made every time on defense. So I'd say they're probably giving them just a little bit more struggle than last year, but it's been an amazing time out there.
We can get into some of the questions from our message board now. So our colleague Chris, he wrote in, Braylan, do you feel snubbed not making the 2024 Freaks list from The Athletic? Is that something you pay attention to, the Bruce Feldman piece every year? I know you were the 247 recruiting Freaks list in 2023. Is that a goal for you? Do you pay attention to that?
I wouldn't say I pay too much attention to that. I try to focus and stay consistently on my grind and trying to get better in what I do. But that is funny though. That is funny though. I didn't even take a look at that.
Well, I know in the future you'll certainly have a chance to be on that list, especially next year. Gate Call wants to know, when you're working out, what's your best lift?
Oh.
Ooh, I'll say my squat or my bench is up there. But I know a few people that would my best friend Elijah Hughes. I mean he always talks about how he can squat more than me, but me, I don't think that's true. It's either my squat or my bench.
Can we get some numbers? How much are you squatting? How much are you benching?
So last time, the most I did so far was 675, and I did that for I think 3 reps, but Wiley had shut me down. So that was the most I've done on squat. I for sure could have kept going.
What's the lift that you guys would talk in the locker room about the most? Like, is it the bench or is it the squat, or which one is like the one that like you guys would compare each other with?
I would say depends on the day. We usually compare lifts almost every day, but it's really more between, I say, like bench press or squat, for sure.
Okay.
Are like the 2 biggest ones that we talk about every week.
And what's the number for you on the bench?
See, I haven't gone up that high in a while, but I think last time that I really maxed out, I think I did 365 for 3.
That's a lot.
That's
do you guys
impressive.
do the 225 ones like they do for the combine and see how many reps you can get?
Yeah, we do that sometimes. We do that sometimes.
Oh, that's cool.
Conquest 6 wants to know, what changes in the defense or the defensive philosophy stand out to you the most this year?
Obnoxious communication is probably one of the ones on the leaderboard. Being able to communicate with your team, have everyone on the same page. I mean, that's a huge part when it comes to college football, especially on defense. I mean, you need everyone on the same page, and that way you can run a defense effectively. So I'll say obnoxious communication is like number one, and you got to give relentless effort. I mean, you got to sell out for the ball. You got to sell out for your brothers. You got to sell out for your guys. Relentless effort will take you a long way, especially in this football game. And just being overall physical, I would say is a huge part. It's defense.
Here's a good one from Easy Trojan. He wants to know, who's going to be the sack leader this year on the team and why?
Oh, okay.
That's a great question because he can go to a lot of people. I know. I mean, we started talking about it just a little bit, but I don't want to put no bad juju out there. So I'm not gonna say a name. I'm not gonna say a name yet, but just know it's gonna be a great competition.
Is there someone that maybe USC fans aren't expecting? They're like, I think he's gonna have a big season. Someone out there?
Shoot, I'd say Gavin. Really, a lot of people could get this, especially on the defense and offense on both sides of the ball. I mean, there's a ton of people. It would be hard to just put one name out there, but we'll find out as the season goes on.
We had one in the chat. This is from, oh wait, sorry, that was the wrong one. Let me put it up here. Any significance to the number 34?
That was just a number I happened to be blessed with when I got here. Just kind of seeing, kind of building my identity and who I am. I think 34 is kind of just a great number as it is.
And then we had one more from Alex. How does this year's offensive line compare to last year's?
I feel like they've improved. I feel like they're very good. They definitely gained a lot of weight. Definitely got bigger, got faster, got stronger. And I feel like they're doing good as they are. They're a great O-line. They do whatever they can for the QB, and I mean, it's just been overall improvement.
It's funny. I asked Josh Henson earlier in camp about what he saw from you guys, and he was like, "Yeah, like instead of like running around, like they're really coming after us." So like it's he had compliments for you guys too. He thought you guys were better as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they're doing a great job. They're doing a great job over there.
Peasy wants to know, Braylan, since you're from Texas, do you prefer Whataburger or In-N-Out, and why?
Actually, I prefer Whataburger. And
Ooh.
the reason is just because of versatility. Like, don't get me wrong. So In-N-Out, they make great burgers.
Yeah.
They're good at what they do. But when it comes to versatility, that's kind of more what I look into. I want to be able to go there and eat breakfast. I want to be able to go there and get lunch, dinner, so on and so on. So I think both restaurants are very good at what they do, especially In-N-Out when it comes to the burger. So it's kind of hard for me, but I lean more towards Whataburger since I'm from there.
Nice.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We had one more in the chat. Well, we keep getting more in the chat. Joey, he says, I want to know, where does he think he has improved the most, and what coach has pushed him the hardest to become better at a specific part of his game?
I want to say pass rushing. In general, pass rushing and setting the edge, probably like the two biggest things that I worked on at pad level. I would say Coach Newell and Coach Henny definitely pushed me to better myself in this specific part of my game. I mean, just sitting in the meeting rooms, learning the difference in kind of lines and how you should pass rush, what moves to do and what moves to use in certain instances, and play calls has definitely been a big thing for me this year. And I say both coaches have done an amazing job at teaching the whole squad, matter of fact, of how to do it, how to go out there and ball.
And DNA Matrix Systems, it sounds like a company or something. Who's your best friends on the team? You already said Elijah Hughes, right? Because I don't know if there's anyone else, but.
Oh, no, there's a lot. I mean, the whole team, I would say, is my best friend. I mean, from Jamil, the whole D-line to the wide receivers, the quarter. I mean, this whole team, it's hard to just put a cap on who my best friends are, but this whole team is like one big whole friend group. That's kind of how, so like our bond is insane.
We got two more good ones here from our message board. The first one, who do you see as the biggest leader on the defensive side of the ball, and why?
Sure, we can go to anybody like Jamil, Mason, Cobb. You go to Easton, Akili, everybody, K-Ram, Kamari. I mean, everybody does a great job at leading. Everybody plays their part. And, I mean, when a team needs to be picked up, you see a ton of different leaders showing up and showing their side and just really trying to get us back on page.
And the last one from Thomas Trojan 81, who's been the toughest offensive lineman to go up against in fall camp?
Oh, yeah. That was, Bobby in the chat had the same one. So he said, who is the hardest offensive line you had trouble with?
I would say, a lot. Like Murph is good. Let me think. Elijah's good. Justin's good. I mean, I really go against tackles, so that's more what I know. But yeah, they have been doing an amazing job. I've seen them get better each and every day. It's great being able to compete with them. And I mean, we really just look forward to competing every day. One-on-one pass rush has always been as fun, just talking a little stuff. But I mean, it's been great. They've done an amazing job at developing.
And then we'll do one last one. Tommy Jones. This might be hard to answer. Who is the hardest working defensive player this year? Just say everybody's hard. I know.
Man, I mean, everybody puts in a tremendous amount of work. I can't tell you how many extra hours we're just out there by ourselves, learning from each other, putting in extra work, just doing more things to not further our better defense, but I mean, better off the team as a whole. And I'll say there's a ton of hardworking individuals. It's hard, again, to put a name on one, but just know there's a lot of people out there.
Nice. Well, this has been, hold on, I got to give you some applause here. Amazing work. I mean, dude, it's great. It's so great talking to you. And I have to compliment the USC team just because, and the media team they put together, because everyone we've had on has just been such a pleasant conversation. Well, everyone knows what they're talking about, entertaining, and you're prompt and doing a great job. It's just, I can't compliment you enough, man. I thank you for coming on. I know this is a little different than like 5 minutes after a game or practice, and you just crushed it. So thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, for sure. I appreciate y'all.
Thank
you. It's an honor to be on the show.
Do you want to give it? We can do a screenshot. You want to do a fight on? Me and Connor will smile if you want to do like a fight on for the fans.
For sure. Spot on.
All right.
Perfect. Thank you,
Braylan
Braylan.
Shelby. Oh, we got there's balloons that came
Oh, they
up
got
there.
balloons?
I don't know how did I do that or was it? I don't know what that was. That's so
I
funny.
think it's from
Oh, that
I
might be
can't
for
get it
your
right anyway.
maybe your screen or something. Yeah. We got balloons. That's funny. We had Nate Clifton brought his dog on last time. That was a lot of fun. So he was a
Oh, he
was
did?
yeah, it was a hit. And I think that Carlos and before we did the show, he brought his son. He had his son on camera and stuff. But then he didn't
That's
come
what's
on for
up.
the show. But it was great stuff. But thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on. Everyone else, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. So thanks to Braylan Shelby, and back in a minute, everyone.
Sure.
All righty. We are back here on the Peristyle Podcast. Oops, let me change the graphic. What a great, another
hit.
freaking interview. Every one of them have been like just amazing. I hope the fans are enjoying this because these are really fun conversations. You get a bunch of football talk, but also just kind of what makes them tick, what's it like. You know, they've been so insightful and everything. And again, really thank House of Victory for putting these together because these been so much fun.
I totally agree. Yeah, great to hear from Braylan. First things first, so glad he's healthy and ready to be back in camp. And it just sounds like, based on everyone we've talked to, he's ready for a huge year. And USC needs a huge year from him and Anthony Lucas and some of those other edge rushers. If they can get production from those guys, going to be a good season. So that's certainly a position that I'll be watching. And Braylan, of course, has a great head on his shoulders, and he seems ready to go.
Yeah, just he didn't say specifically, but we've asked Lincoln Riley a couple times about Shelby not being in practice. He said he's not, it's nothing serious. He'll be back soon. And before he went on, Braylan's like, hey, I'll be back. So he said he was fine. So that's good. That's good to know. I think they're going to need him in there. He played in all 13 games last year. But really, really fun stuff. I know we just kind of jumped into everything. A lot of stuff is going on in the chat. Antonio says, smash the like button. Yes, please do that. If you're on our YouTube watching live, how many people we have? We had a bunch. Oh, we had like 160 people live. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching us live. If you're watching the replay, that's amazing too. Go to our YouTube channel at Inside Troy and subscribe. We are this close to like 20,000, so we want to get over the top. But hopefully you've enjoyed these. We're putting up a ton of videos on our YouTube channel, and then we were doing these live shows and stuff as well. And hopefully weekly getting back to talking with players. Connor and I are doing our regular Peristyle podcast too. I'm doing a little traveling later this week. So
surprise.
I don't go on vacations much. So I got to go to Montana and go fly fishing a little bit before the season starts. But so we're doing our show today. We might be doing like a Monday show and then our regular, like our another show on Wednesday. We got to figure out the thing, but we'll do our regular Tunnel Vision shows as well. But if these are going to be a regular feature, and I think they will be throughout the season, it'll probably be like a Monday afternoon kind of thing where we get to talk to a player this long and whatever is going to work for their schedule. But to me, these are super valuable, so much fun. And I know you enjoy them too, Connor.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome to have that extended time with the players and just really great insights. And there's only so many things you can ask after a practice in that limited 5-minute time.
Yeah.
So it's great to have him for like 20 minutes. And I feel like you always walk away learning something new. Didn't know Elijah Hughes was Braylan's best friend. That was really cool to hear. And seems like he has a lot of confidence in the edge rushing group. Solo is another guy we hear a lot about. Really hope he can contribute this year after all the injuries he's dealt with. It seems like he's having a really solid camp. So those were two things I picked up that we otherwise wouldn't have known.
We had Roger say interview over. Now he can get back to squatting.
Yes.
675.
Yes.
West Texas Mike wants to know why I look like a carrot. I literally just came from the pickleball court and I forgot to put on sunscreen, so maybe I'm a little.
You're definitely looking tan.
Do I look extra tan?
Yeah,
okay. I was at the beach playing volleyball this weekend stuff too, so that might be it too. Could be the lighting. I don't know. We didn't get to do our regular spiel at the top of the show, but yeah, it's our regular. This will be our regular podcast this week. If you have questions, podcast at uscfootball.com. I don't think I looked. I'll look for questions here in a little bit. I didn't look yet. My bad on that. 424-254-9141 is the number if you want to text us or leave us a voicemail. That's great. And if you have the Apple Podcasting app, you can leave us a 5-star rating and review. And if you listen on Spotify, I know a lot of people do that too. Just leave us 5 stars there. That's great. And of course, we talked about YouTube, and you can subscribe there. That helps us very much. Trader Joe's is also very helpful. They've been awesome. I want to let you guys know they sent me a case of those Trader Joe's bags that we were talking about before. 200 bags I got in the mail. I'm going to be bringing to Las Vegas. We're doing 3 events in Las Vegas, all at the Flanker Kitchen in Mandalay Bay. The cool part is it is literally on the walk to Allegiant Stadium. I think we talked about this on the last show. We've had over 200 RSVPs for our Sunday tailgate, so we can't take any more reservations for that. But Friday evening, starting at 6:30, I think 6:30 we're going to start. Meetup, I'll have bags there. Saturday, same thing. We're going to have an afternoon meetup starting at like 4. There's 3 really good games at 4:30, so we'll get to watch that. Michigan hosting Fresno State. Notre Dame's at Texas A&M. And then Oregon's playing Idaho. Not really a great game, but you get to see Oregon play after a lot of hype. So there'll be some fun games to watch. We'll give away more bags. If you're going to the game from the tailgate, you can't bring the bags in. And to be honest, we might be out of bags by now, but I'll try to bring some to the tailgate. But just know if you go to the tailgate, you can't bring that Trader Joe's bag into the stadium. They're not going to allow it. They're very strict about that kind of stuff. But yeah, Trader Joe's are great. They sent us more gift cards. I took John to lunch, and he's like, well, I didn't give you big enough gift cards. So he sent us some more. Super sweet. Like, great people over there at Trader Joe's. Like, everyone you talk to when you go to the store, the nicest people in the world. John's the dang president of the company, and he's as nice as anybody. Yeah. So he's great. And it's been awesome working with them. And I'm so happy that they gave us these bags. These things go like hotcakes. People freaking love them every time we give them away. So three different events in Vegas we're going to do. I'm very excited. And if you know me, I'm a Vegas guy. So
yes, you
I'm
are.
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
Looking forward to it, too. Shout out to John from Trader Joe's, too. Great guy. Totally agree with everything you said right there, Ryan. And I got one of those bags from last year still in my trunk. Use it every time I go to the grocery store. And a lot of people come over and say, hey, where'd you get that USC bag? And I have to tell them Trader Joe's.
Yes. Well, it says Trader Joe's on it, too. But, yeah, that's...
Well, I go to Ralph's a lot because it's closer. I do go to Trader Joe's a good amount, too. But people at Ralph's are like, what? Where can I get that?
It is funny when you bring your Trader Joe's bag into someplace else. They're like, sorry, these are really cool bags. I've seen them before, too. Like, I've seen people, and, like, I've mentioned it. And they give them away at different things. And so very, very cool stuff there. Okay, so we do have some... breaking news that we talked about just earlier before we started recording and broadcasting live. There's a guy, you might know him. He threw 6 touchdown passes. Three.
Double.
That was in the Holiday Bowl. Miller Moss is, no surprise, named the starting quarterback. Any thoughts on that, Connor? Not shocking at all.
No, not shocking. And I'm curious, when we talk to Lincoln Riley tomorrow, I want to ask him how close was Jaden to being named the starter. Was this really a true competition? How much will we get out of Riley on that? I'm not sure, because the whole way he has the great Holiday Bowl, and then Riley says he's scared some guys off likely, and Miller says I'm coming back to USC next season. Didn't use that one big game to advertise himself and then head into the portal. Then we go through spring practice, and after the spring game, Riley's asked who's the starting quarterback, and he said, I'm not going to name it right now, but if the season started next week, it would be Miller Moss. He wanted the competition to extend into fall camp. It did, and now that we're into mock game week, you need a starting quarterback for the mock game, and it's Miller Moss. I don't really think Jaden was all that close, just because Miller's been in the system for 2 years. He has more playing experience, although not a ton, under Lincoln Riley. Maeva has more playing experience in general based on what he did last season at UNLV. He's just more of a raw prospect, probably has a higher ceiling than Moss, if we're being totally honest, but I don't think he was quite ready to come in after transferring from UNLV and win the job over someone who is more established, even though Moss, of course, doesn't have a ton of experience. So not a big surprise. And in the future, could Jaden Maeva be USC's starting quarterback next year and maybe even this year with injuries? You never know, certainly. But this was always the expected outcome. Happy for Miller Moss. The team loves him. He'll be a captain. This was, like I keep saying, the expected move.
Yeah, the expected move for sure. And it's funny. We got to talk to Jaden Maeva on this show, And, he knew that his spring wasn't good enough from what we're hearing. And, some of what we got to see, I think he's definitely gotten better.
Yeah.
It seems like he has improved, which is good. Like, you might see him. I don't know. I mean, there's, you're one play away always from, if you're not the starter, from getting in the game. So I think that's positive that he has looked better. But I think it was a pretty big, even if he was amazing, like it would be tough to oust Miller Moss, who in this system with a lot of young players, kind of a reworked offensive line, played as well as he did against a pretty good defense in a bowl game. You can discount bowl games all you want, but that's live in, that's a dress rehearsal as much as you could do for the start of this season. So I think there's a lot of confidence, not just in Lincoln Riley, but in the rest of the players. He's been a great leader. I think a lot of times, it's one thing to be the leader when you're the number one guy and everyone's following you. I think he did a lot of the good leadership stuff when he was the number two guy and wasn't pouting, still did the things that you needed to do. And people see that. It's like one of those things where, what are you like when the cameras aren't rolling? When all the focus isn't on you, he was still doing those things to be a good teammate and a good leader. Now you're in the spotlight and you don't have to change your behavior. And I feel like he earned a lot of respect from the team from things like that. So it just seems like this was the right move. He went to media day and all that kind of stuff. And he's going to get a good shot. And you're not starting off with San Jose State. You're starting off with LSU and, questionable defense over there as well. And I think it's just a great opportunity for him. And it'll be really interesting to see what this offense looks like with the way the offensive line's been moved around, the young wide receivers and how good they looked at the end of last year, the strides they can make, and Woody Marks, what he's going to do in this offense. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And, I think Miller's going to do really well.
With Jaden Maeva too, he'll hear this news today and don't think he's going to stop pushing. He'll keep competing in practice. And I think from a backup quarterback perspective, this is kind of the perfect scenario for USC. Jaden's a guy who has that experience, like I said, at UNLV. He has a high ceiling, maybe needs 1 year to sort of get the Riley system under his belt. But if he needs to come in for whatever reason, I have a lot more confidence in him than probably 99% of other backup quarterbacks in college football. It's a really great situation, and Jaden, by all accounts, has been a great teammate. I'm sure he's upset today, frustrated, but he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who'll pout and take that frustration out in a bad way. I think he's going to keep competing, and he's a guy who I really like. I know we can't talk about the scrimmage, so I won't say anything. But
we'll do that in a second.
He looked good. I don't think I don't think I'm going to get shunned for saying that. I like what I've seen from him in the limited time I've been able to watch him. When he had him on the show through House of Victory, I felt like he had a great head on his shoulders, and just him saying I wasn't good enough in the spring.
Yeah.
He knows he needs time, and it's a big jump from UNLV to USC. So happy for Miller. I agree with you. I think he'll have a really great chance to succeed. I've said it all offseason. I feel as good about him as you possibly could, a quarterback who's only who's only started one game in his college career, and I feel good about the backup spot. This is Lincoln Riley. When he came to USC, you always knew the quarterback spot would be good, and Miller Moss joins a really, really exclusive list of starters. I mean, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, the Eagles quarterback, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Caleb, like to start a season for Lincoln Riley and be QB1, it's a really, really good list to be on, and Miller Moss joins that list.
Baker Mayfield and all that fun stuff. And then, okay, so we know the starting quarterback. We will know the rest of the two deep, at least what the official two deep will say next Wednesday, correct?
Yes.
The 28th, I believe. That's what the announcement was. That's when we'll get the depth chart.
Yes, that night. I think we know the starting offensive line, too.
Yeah.
Left tackle Elijah Page, left guard Emmanuel Pregnon, center Jonah Monheim, right guard I think it's going to be Alani Noah, but he's still competing with Amos Talele, and then right tackle Mason Murphy. It looks like the sophomore receivers, those guys will all start, and if one of them doesn't, it might not be Deuce. It would maybe be Kyron Hudson, but I think now it looks like all four of those guys are starting. So we have a good idea for the most part, and this was even leading into camp what a lot of people thought. So there aren't really that many surprises, in my opinion.
Yeah, so we'll get some of that, and you have to take it with a grain of salt because we've seen guys be listed as starters and not play in the game. So whatever, like maybe not that extreme, but I think that's probably happened where he's like, oh, that guy's supposed to start and he didn't even play. Okay, so there was also a scrimmage on Saturday. We got an email or a text from USC Friday afternoon. Oh, by the way, there's going to be an open scrimmage. Well, open to the media. We were allowed to be on the field for basically just the stretching. And then they took us up to the press box. We could take pictures and film, but there wasn't much to film because it was really just stretching. So it was probably the shortest open period of like filming that we had in practice. But then the rest of the practice, the scrimmage, we could watch from the press box with the caveat that we can't report on anything. So we can't tell you really what was going on. Eddie from Orange said, I'm sorry, that was the wrong one. Let me find Eddie's thing. He was saying, request, blink twice while saying spicy pickles if the D on Saturday looked like they could be a top 50 defense next year. So we can't really talk about all that stuff, what we saw, but I think it was a good way for us to get a feel for what's going on, because we don't get to. Connor and I were both not in town for their last open practice. So it was good for us to kind of see, sort of what's going on, and just when we give you our opinions later on, you're just like kind of a little bit more informed maybe from that. But it was cool. It was weird having like 16 hours notice or whatever it was to go out there, but it was good to go see it, even though we couldn't do the reporting like we would have liked.
It was nice of Lincoln Riley to open it. He is guarded, as everyone knows who follows the program, and it was fun to see it. I'm sure people listening are frustrated we can't say anything, and I kind of broke that rule earlier by mistake. Fun to be there. But I'm, like I keep saying on all these shows, Ryan, I've said it for the last few weeks, I'm ready for this LSU game so we can talk about what we see. And all the questions, not all of them, but a lot of the questions are going to be answered in that game. And that's what happens when you play a marquee opponent in week one. Like I said last week, if they lose, is it, the season's over? No. If they win, then I think you can raise your expectations significantly. Just a lot's on the line in that first game. And we're going to learn so much. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I think it's more to me about what does this team look like? Like if you're seeing a ton of missed tackles and there's a bunch of penalties and it's sloppy on offense and Miller's like running for his life, that's not good. Those aren't good signs. But if all those things like are reversed and they're not like that and USC loses, but it's like close and that's a better sign of what changes did you want to make from last year. Is, you got to make sure the offense doesn't take a huge step backwards, that the offensive line has to be serviceable. Woody Marks needs to look like he could be a 1,000-yard rusher. Their young wide receivers need to look like, a couple of them at least have to be potential superstars, and Miller Moss has to look something like he did in the Holiday Bowl. And all those things could be true and you could still lose the game. The defensive side, you need things to be significantly better. You want them to tackle well like they did in the Holiday Bowl and not big busts and people aren't confused and they look like they're playing fast. And I think special teams has to be better as well. He brought a lot of bodies to help on special teams, and you want to see better results in the kicking game, and not giving up returns and balls, kickoffs going into the end zone and punts being able to flip the field. All those little kind of things. I think you want to look for those sort of keys, and if you're seeing them, I wouldn't worry about the results as much. It's the opener. It's a non-conference game. You're not expecting, you're going to be like a 6-point underdog or whatever it is. I think this is more about what does USC look like? And if you see those improvements where they need to improve or at least kind of stay the same, that's a positive sign no matter what happens in the game as the result goes.
I thought last year the defense would be better, so maybe people will hear this and say, hey, you said that last year and you were wrong. It just seems like such a better operation, and D'Anton Lynn, the proof is in the pudding. What he did at UCLA last season, you can point to that and say, hey, there's some tangible evidence that USC is going to be in better hands. Is the roster the exact same, the personnel the same? No, of course not. It's different. But you can have confidence in the guy leading the way, whereas with Alex Grinch, I said the same last week, he had some nice moments at Oklahoma, and they got better when he was hired as the defensive coordinator, but they were never great. Ohio State, there was a reason they got rid of him.
Yeah.
You couldn't really point to anything like you can with D'Anton Lynn. So defensively, I believe you have to have confidence that they will improve. Now, the opponent is a hell of a lot better than a San Jose State, but you're not going to have a coverage bust right before the end of the half. that leads to a touchdown and kills USC covering the spread. I'm still upset about that, by the way. That was a dagger. I'd be shocked if you see something like that, especially with the secondary, the guys they have, the
so
intelligence that they possess. Like D'Anton Lynn working with the safeties, I feel exponentially better about than Alex Grinch working with the safeties. Let's say that.
And I think our former colleague Keely Yor on her podcast was talking about like the defense was god awful last year, and it was god awful the year before, and they still won 11 games. And then last year they weren't getting the turnovers and stuff, and they were still like very close. Now they were close with teams they should have been close with, but they also were close with the good teams too most of the time. Yeah. And so that gives you hope that, hey, if they're tackling better, if they're just not confused when they're going in, or like when the ball's about to be snapped, you're like, hey, what am I supposed to be doing right now? It gives you a better feeling for what's going on there. Any other stuff from camp you want to chat about, or we can just? I know I have some questions in the chat. Anything else? Any kind of newsy things?
Since we can't really talk about the scrimmage, we can get to some of the questions.
Yeah, sorry we can't really talk about that.
Yeah, great for us, but terrible for our product. Not being able to talk about it.
It does help. I mean, it probably made us more informed for sure, so we can give you better opinions of kind of what's going on. But okay, first one from Tommy: is the team traveling to Vegas a week early? No, they are leaving on Saturday. So
we're getting there before that.
We're getting on Friday. The team will arrive on Saturday. So, yeah. So there's no. I don't think you want a team in Vegas a week early. I don't know why you would. Same time zone. I mean, it's just hotter, but yeah, and basically you're playing in that, in Allegiant, so it's not going to be, it'll be comfortable in there. So I don't think there's any need to go a week early. Eddie, let's see. Eddie in Orange can triple double, let the beard grow until Miller throws his 40th touchdown of the year.
Wasn't there some beard thing that Eddie wanted me to do last year too?
Maybe. Eddie likes beards, I think.
I have to go to a wedding on Sunday, so this is all to be determined.
Okay. So wedding.
Maybe you can start after.
Yeah, maybe you can start afterwards. AZ Weird, we do. AZ We Do. How do we get into the tailgate? Do we have to RSVP? Okay, so here's what's going on. Let me let you guys know what's going on with the tailgate. We are going to be, base camp is going to be Mandalay Bay. And if you're not familiar, if you haven't been to Vegas for a while, Allegiant Stadium is cool. It's very steep as far as where we are in the press box. It depends where you're sitting. You could be like looking sort of straight down. Parking is a nightmare. Like this is one of those places they don't give you media parking. They just don't do it, but they would have a media shuttle from one of the venues. So last year for the Pac-12 championship game, I think the last couple of years, Park MGM was the media hotel. It's I guess north of the Strip a little bit from where Allegiant is, and they had a shuttle, and it's literally a mile, and it took us an hour, and the shuttle took a long time to get there too. We are now going down to Mandalay Bay as our base camp because there's like a walkway that goes across the freeway that'll take you directly from Mandalay Bay to Allegiant. So if you stay at Mandalay Bay or Delano, if you're facing, I guess, west, you will have a view of Allegiant Stadium. It's just literally right there. There's a walkway from Mandalay Bay to get to the stadium. The venue we're working with, Flanker, is literally parked next to this walkway. So like you could walk out of the bar restaurant and just walk right over to the stadium. So we're going to do a Friday event. Come hang out, watch Stanford's playing TCU Friday night. Saturday afternoon, we're going to have a few games I mentioned. We're going to just show up. We got spaces reserved. You come out, it's free. Just you buy your own drinks and food and stuff. Chat, USC football, give you Trader Joe's bags and all that. The one cool thing that they wanted to do with us is at a tailgate. And I didn't even think about this, but because we are, you could just walk to the stadium from the bar, you could tailgate at this bar. We're going to start at noon for a 4:30 game, and it'll end like 3:30 or so. Connor, Chris, Shotgun, and I will probably go, maybe 2 hours or a little more than that before kickoff. But in the beginning, we'll be there noon to 2 or something like that. And hang out with you guys, and then you can kind of stay, order drinks or whatever, and then just literally walk to the stadium. We put out a call for RSVPs on the Peristyle. If you're not a member, go over do that. you should be a member because, it's USCfootball.com. And I mean, it might be like close to 240 or something right now, like the amount of people that have RSVPs. I had to put a stop to it and said, hey, you can't take any more RSVPs right now. Waiting to hear back from the venue. I think the venue holds 350, but if that's just us, like we would have to take over the whole damn thing, which might be okay. I'm waiting to hear back from them. So if you want to go to that, just kind of, we're going to put it on hold for a little bit. We had something similar happen for the USC-Texas game. We had the Key Bar, which I think their capacity was 250 people or 200 people. And we just said, hey, we're going to do a meetup on Friday night before the game. I thought maybe 40, 50 people would show up. It was raining, and we filled the whole bar. They only had 2 bartenders. It was almost impossible to get a drink. We had no idea this many people were going to come out. The owner of the Key Bar at the time was a USC alum, and we had like a line of 50 people out the door in the rain waiting to get into this thing. So we want to avoid something like that. We want to make sure it's accommodating for everybody. But there was a lot of people that have said they want to come. So let me find out for sure. If you've sent in an RSVP, thank you for that. I don't think no one's going to stop you from coming in, but we're probably not going to be able to hold as many people have said that they want to come. So I'm waiting to hear back from the venue. They said, it's a good problem to have, obviously, but that's what we're planning to do pregame for USC and LSU, which it's pretty awesome. We were going to work with, there was another property that wanted to work with us, and then they didn't. And it's funny, Connor, I don't even know if I told you this. They emailed me back wanting to do something again, and I'm like, hey, man, we've already moved on, and we've just crushed it with Flanker. So awesome. They've been great, and I'm really looking forward to it's a new venue. It's just like super cool, and you can literally walk to the stadium. So I'm excited for this.
I just saw in the YouTube chat, you can stumble to the stadium.
Yes, Mark was saying that. That's good stuff. Roger wants to know, I don't know if you had any follow-up with that too, but
no, I'm excited. I think that Friday night will be amazing, and I don't know how the logistics of a show will work, but we're going to be up there and do something, right?
Yeah, I think Friday, that's a good point I didn't mention. Thank you, Connor. Friday we'll do some kind of podcast. Don't know if we'll do it live. We'll at least record something. We'll see what the setup is and everything. I'll bring equipment. And, we'll do something Friday at the venue. So, like, kind of a pregame show. And if you're there, like previewing USC LSU, and if you're there, we could take a live question from you and stuff. So, that should be fun. So, Flanker, people in the chat. Flanker is the name of the bar. Flanker, it's a kitchen, bar, and grill or something. I forget what it is. But, yeah, it's in Mandalay Bay. So, check it out. Roger says, can USC, Inside Troy, do a segment on USC tailgating? Maybe guests from USC that knows about tailgating this year. Well, first of all, like we talked about, go sign up for House of Victory's tailgates. Like, those are well worth it. Open bars, so just you can go there and drink all you want. And they got really cool specialty drinks. The Khalil brothers, their tequila is featured there. Great stuff. And there's a lot of good people watching, people that you'll run into that are bigwigs at USC. Jen Cohen shows up, Olympians show up. There's a lot of cool stuff. Basketball players, Juju Watkins would come in. It's great stuff at that tailgate. But as far as like, we've done some like features on tailgating and everything. I know like it's changed a lot. I don't know sort of the landscape. We could get like Roy on, USC Psycho because he still does his or something. But I'm not the best when it comes to like the fan activity things, buying tickets or what, because we just don't have to do that stuff. But I do know about the House of Victory tailgate because we've worked with them a bunch.
And that tailgate is not only fun, but the food's amazing. So.
Yeah, it's great stuff, and we love going over there. Okay. I think that's about it.
Yeah, we got practice tomorrow, practice Wednesday, and this will be what it's like during the season, getting into that routine. We'll hear from Lincoln Riley on Zoom. So it sounds like, Ryan, the schedule, if you're a diehard USC fan and you want to know all the USCfootball.com stuff, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like Monday, hopefully a House of Victory interview with a player, and then Riley will go on Trojans Live every Monday night. Mostly it's him. Sometimes it's an assistant, and there's always a player too. And then Tuesday practice, so we'll hear from him then, and we'll hear from players afterwards. Wednesday practice, we'll hear from probably D'Anton Lynn and then players after. Thursday will be the Lincoln Riley Zoom at 11, and that's sort of how the weekly flow will go. Yeah,
we'll get you all that kind of stuff, and then we'll keep doing our shows. There's probably going to be a lot of shows. If you're hopefully you're subscribed to our podcast feed because there are going to be a lot of things going up. We'll continue to do the Composite 2-Star Recruits podcast with the Cilantro Boys, Gerard and Chris. Yeah, they're just crushing it on the recruiting trail. What's been going on? USC is actually doing a little better, which is nice to see. And yeah, it's like it's here. It's freaking Big Ten football. I forgot to ask Braylan if he was doing the video game, if he was a gamer. But yeah, I'm just excited. Like we need football. I would say for me personally, I try to just tell you what I think is going to happen. If I think they're going to stink, I'll tell you that I think they're going to stink. People get mad. If I think they're going to be good, I'll tell you that. And if they're not good, people get mad. But I kind of feel like they're going to be pretty good. And this is a team that could, if you go 9-3, I mean, you might finish third in the Big Ten or even second. If you're like 8-1 in conference, you like lose to Michigan and win the rest of them. Because the schedule, avoiding Ohio State and Oregon, is huge. The problem is you don't play the bottom of the conference either. You're playing a lot of the middle of it that can beat each other up. So you got to win those games where the beat each other up games. But I'm like cautiously optimistic that this can be, a really good year for USC. Which, like 9-3, you might say, oh, that's not really good. You're probably in the playoffs at 9-3 with USC's schedule. And someone put out, I forget who put it up. It might have been Dennis Dodd did a thing that like 9-3 not in the playoffs, and he did a deep dive into like the last few decades and went through and like there's a lot of 9-3 teams that would be in the playoffs historically. And if you have USC's schedule and you go 9-3, maybe it doesn't break the right way if they're all losses to Big Ten teams and you're finished more middle of the pack. Maybe you don't get in, but like if Notre Dame or LSU is one of your losses, you're 7-2 in conference. Then it's pretty good. You're probably beating a Penn State or a Michigan or Wisconsin. You got to beat at least one of those and maybe a couple, and you're probably in the playoff. You're beating a Notre Dame or an LSU. I think that's the kind of resume that could get you in as like a 10, 11 seed or something like that. But you've just played too many good teams and beat too many good teams to not get in the playoffs with only 3 losses. So I'm kind of optimistic, but you got to get there. There's just a lot of teams that could beat USC. You can't lose to Nebraska. You can't lose to Rutgers. You can't lose on the road to Minnesota. And those are all like pretty good teams, and Nebraska might be, who knows? They might be really good. There's a bunch of teams that are just sort of in that same atmosphere where you are, and you just need to be above them a little bit. You can't be the team that Penn State beats to send them to the playoff. You have to beat them to send you to the playoff kind of thing. So I think there's a lot of games like that, but I'm optimistic that the way the schedule lines up, USC could do it because you get Penn State at home. You'll get a pass for losing at Michigan in your first Big Ten game ever. You'd probably get a pass for losing to LSU in Vegas to open the season. But you got to win those other games too and look pretty good. And I don't know. That's been a long way of saying I think I'm pretty optimistic.
It's all about the line play for me. If it looks good against LSU, I'll feel good. If it doesn't, then I won't. And that's on both sides because it's a lot of new faces on the offensive line. Mason Murphy's been inconsistent in his career. He's your starting right tackle. New position for Jonah Monheim. Second-year left tackle. Second-year left guard. I probably feel the best about Emmanuel Pregnon. And then in the middle of the defensive line, it's Bear. And then who else? And the edge rushers, you have Jamil Muhammad, who contributed last year, and then no one else who did anything a year ago. So a lot of new people, new contributors, new coaching staff. That makes me feel better. I just don't know if they have the top-end talent to get to where you're saying, Ryan. I hope I'm wrong on that. That's the big question I have because these big preseason All-American lists and NFL draft stuff is coming out, and you see USC, okay, Zachariah Branch is a return All-American, and Bear Alexander makes the top 50 NFL draft prospects by CBS, but he's number 50, and then you see Michigan has like 5 or 6 guys, LSU has 3 guys, and Penn State, I think, has 2 or 3 guys. It's just some of these schools that you're playing, the top-end talent with them, they've just recruited better than USC. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
We'll see if, if that all adds up to a winning formula for USC or not. I love what they did with the defensive coaching staff. Some of the recruiting stuff hasn't been great, of course. So those are my questions. It all comes down to the line, and we'll learn a lot against LSU.
Roger said, we'll end on this. 2016 USC 9-3 team would have done well in the playoffs. That's the team that beat Penn State in the Rose Bowl. I think, they would have made a nice run. The difference there, and I know this was Clay Helton era and stuff, but USC played better. Like they bring in Sam Darnold. They started off 1-3 and bring in Sam Darnold and, make a run and look better at the end of the season Now, they still had flaws. A lot of that was just like Sam Darnold. It was kind of Caleb Williams-y, like he just can do crazy stuff. The problem, the USC hasn't finished the season strong the last couple of years.
That's been my big thing.
You got to do that. I think that's the one thing. And I think a lot of that's on the defensive side of the ball, where they just were giving up just everything. And so I think if you're more sound on defense, you can finish stronger. The good thing is the bowl game, you say they finished poorly last year because they went 1-5 down the stretch, but you win the bowl game, which was great. And they tackled well. So I think if you kind of do that throughout the season, you could come out on top. You can be 9-3 by playing kind of consistent defense and putting up the points that they are. But and maybe you don't have the top end talent, and maybe there's a bunch of guys that aren't on these NFL lists right now. Maybe they will be by later in the season. They need to be a better team, and I think with the defensive staff they brought in, you got to feel confident, like a guy like Matt Entz, you're going to get way better play out of the linebackers. Just look at how deep the secondary is. You got to get way better play out of those guys, and Doug Belk coaching them. And just schematically with D'Anton Lynn, you just talk to the guy, you're like, all right, I mean, whatever if he's like selling me stocks or going to paint my house, like I feel like confident he's good at what he does. You just feel like D'Anton Lynn is going to be good at what he does. So that's where I think some of the confidence comes from.
Certainly.
Anyway, all right. Well, great show. Braylan Shelby, again, let's give him a round of applause. Crushed it. I mean, every time we have someone on, we're like, that's got to be like our best one. Like, I mean, Jacoby Lane, I still remember how good he was, but like Shelby was, and so many guys were really amazing, and Shelby was one of them. So I hope you guys all enjoyed that. He was if you're watching us live, you came in late, go back to the beginning to listen to. We had Braylan Shelby on for like half an hour. Just so fun to talk to. And he was one of those guys that wasn't giving long, rambling answers. So we got to get a lot of different opinions from him, different questions and stuff. So we went through a lot of questions for 30 minutes, and good stuff there. All right. Anything else, Connor?
No, excited for practice tomorrow. Going to learn more about that quarterback battle. That's probably the big story of the day, and we'll see what else pops up.
Yes. All right. Well, for Mr. Triple-Double himself, Connor Morrissette, I am Ryan Abraham. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we will talk to you next time.